Hello, everybody. Namaste and happy Sunday to you. My name is KJ Hamus, and welcome to our Sunday evening yin yoga class. So, as you're getting settled in to wherever you're practicing, make sure that you have a couple of things with you. You may not need them, but it's always just a good idea to have them with you so you can hopefully feel a little bit more comfortable in the practice and allow yourself to truly release into the shape at stages that feel best for you. So those things are a pillow or a yoga bolster. Just a pillow is, something with some heft to it or some weight, but you choose. Yoga blocks or yoga block equivalents, so like a really thick book or a couple of books, whatever, and then a blanket of any kind, and a towel can also work too as well. So go ahead and grab those things if you haven't. Join us as you're ready. And then if you have all of those items to make you feel good in the practice, we're going to find any comfortable position that's going to feel best for you and your body. So this could be on your knees. This could be crisscross applesauce. Maybe you're on your back. Maybe you're in child's pose. And if you're in any seated position, feel free to sit up against a wall for the extra support and stability, or lay down on your bed. Whatever you need the most here is the space you want to find. And so as we start to come into this practice, we'll take a moment here to acknowledge the land that we are on and acknowledge that we are guests on this land. So here in Washington, D.C., we are on Anacostan land. And tonight, as we move into our yogic practice, our asana practice, we take a moment to send gratitude and to honor the yoga practitioners who come before us, the practitioners, the teachers who have cultivated this practice and who have so graciously shared it with us, reminding ourselves that this practice comes from ancient India about 5,000 years ago. And this practice was developed by Black and brown yogis sitting underneath trees or on the sides of the roads or even in caves to take the time to understand this practice of liberation and freedom so we may use it today. And so we thank them. And we do our best to honor them and honor their traditions as we continue to practice. And so as we are here tonight, I invite you to start to almost take a step outside of the space you are currently in. So coming to the door, the entranceway, outside of that space. And use this time to reflect on what is bringing you to your mat this evening. What path, what journey has brought you here, and what it took to get here. So that journey, that path may have been laden with a lot of challenges, may have been filled with a lot of, I'd rather sit with the dog, or I just don't want to, or anger or frustration, any of these things that come up. Take a moment to truly acknowledge and reflect on those. And do this self from a place without judgment. Reminder that however we're showing up is where we're meant to be at that moment. And all that matters is we came. And in particular, as you're making those reflections and understanding what you're bringing with you to the practice, I invite you to pay particular attention to the I shoulds that you're bringing in to the practice. I should be able to do this shape in a certain way. I should be breathing in a certain way. I should whatever insert that you're bringing with you. And take a moment just to acknowledge all of those shoulds. Those little pressures we're starting to put on ourselves, or we feel society might be putting on us. For not looking a certain way, for not feeling a certain way, for not being a certain way. And then lay out all those I shoulds in front of you. Take a deep, slow breath in. Gather up all of those I shoulds. And as you exhale, do your best to gently toss them over your shoulder, letting all of them go. Let them go like 10, 20 feet behind you, even more. And then as you're ready, gently open the door to your space and come into where you feel most stable and most secure. As you start to enter your space, begin to visualize a tree in the center of that space. Let it be a sturdy tree with strong roots and a thick trunk. Maybe it has leaves, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they're in between if fall happens to be your favorite season, whatever. It could be a pine tree, a Joshua tree. Just take a moment to walk over to the tree, putting your hands on the tree, feeling the earth surrounding the tree. Maybe even giving that tree a hug. It's okay if the arms don't wrap completely around it. And as you're ready, begin to find a comfortable seat up against the tree, placing your back on the tree to help you feel steady and supported. Start to give your body weight to the tree. Letting go just a little bit more here. And I start to feel supported by the tree. Take in the air around the tree, around you in this space. Does it feel clean? Does it feel fresh? Maybe it's a little bit foggy. Whatever that is, just acknowledge that. Maybe that's something you can use to help you in your practice so it can become a bit more open. And slowly begin to synchronize your natural breathing with the breath and with the movement of the tree. And very subtle movements. Could be just the internal movements of the tree's own energy, or maybe there's a slight breeze. Come into that, letting yourself feel supported and nurtured by the tree. Using this time to set an intention of focus for your practice. If nothing comes to mind, I offer up one of the breath. I offer up one of just letting go. Can you travel on the breath? Let go of anything that you're holding on to that isn't serving you. And as you're ready, not completely leaving the tree, just moving to change positions around it, begin to come out of the current position that you're in, taking your time, taking any movement that you need along the way to help you feel a bit more supported. Maybe this initial release of things might feel good. And then as you're ready, we're going to go ahead and come into a standing position, coming into our first shape this evening. Come into dangling pose. So dangling pose, there's a couple of ways to really think about dangling pose. Physically, we're going to work on the back side of the body, opening up the hamstrings, working along the ligaments of the spine. Energetically, we're helping us release any stress or anxiety that might be coming with us tonight. Right? There can be a little bit more of that kind of given the current state of the world. So bring your feet about hips width distance apart or slightly wider, not max width distance, that could be too much. And then as you take this initial fold, hinging from the hips, just notice where you naturally stop. And feel where things are just moving and pulling along the back side of the body. So your hands can rest on the ground or they can rest on blocks. And this might even be a great place to put a bend in the knees, allowing the torso to fold just gently and resting the heart on the thighs. Try and let the neck release. This might even be a good place to shake the head yes, shake the head no, help you just release and let it go. You can also bring your hands to your opposite elbows, resting them on the thighs, using that as support here to fold. So feel free to take that position. If being upside down isn't good for you, whether you have high blood pressure or any equilibrium issues, please take this shape on the ground coming into caterpillar pose. Both legs out long, and then again, there can be space in between the legs. And allowing ourselves to fold forward naturally, just feeling that gentle pull along the back side of the legs. Always the option if you're taking the on the ground version to sit up on a block or a blanket as well. And do let the head hang heavy, and you can use the support of a block underneath that. So finding what shape feels good for you. If you're not already there, we'll join you standing, but please feel free to stay on the ground if that feels good. We're going to be here for a total of 3 additional minutes. So you might have already been in this shape for 1. We'll be here for 3 after that. If at any point you need to take movements, that's fine. Do so mindfully. So as you're moving, just notice if you're scratching your nose, just like, oh, I'm scratching my nose. Things like that. Allow the breath to soften. Let the jaw release, placing some space in between the teeth. And come back to your space with the tree. As you continue to feel supported by the tree, maybe your feet begin to grow roots, intertwining with the tree. Maybe you feel your legs pressed up against the tree. Maybe there's a branch that's just gently, lightly pressing on your back, almost as if it's a friend or a parent that's rubbing your back for you. Move into silence and continue with stillness for the remainder of the shape. And I'll bring you out of it when we're done, so no need to worry. Keeping a gentle, soft bend in your knees, or maybe even adding a deeper bend Slowly on an exhale, begin to curl up one vertebra at a time. Since you've been folded forward for a lot longer than you're probably used to, take your time coming up. Allow the blood, allow the energy, allow the breath to redistribute in the body. If you come up too fast, you could end up back on the floor much quicker than you would like. Take any movement here that might feel good. Maybe move the feet from side to side. And just let everything kind of redistribute. And then as you're ready, as we come into our next shape, we're going to take a downward facing dog here. So a little bit more of an active posture, but one that's still going to bring the hips over the heart. So with our downward facing dog, bring your hands down to the mat or maybe to a blanket, depending on the range of motion in your wrists. And then draw the feet back behind you to find your inverted V shape. Okay. So still starting to open up the back side of the body here. Feel as if your feet are moving away from the heel, moving away from your mat. Looking to lengthen the calf muscles here. Pressing into the hands, so while the feet in the last shape grew roots, let your hands, let this foundation grow roots as well. Just take 3 breaths here. Inversions can be nice to help us find, and down dog is technically an inversion, so there you go. But inversions can be nice to help us redistribute our energy and calm the mind at times. And that's not to say it happens every time, but just notice as you breathe and find stillness in the shape, can you soften the distractions the mind generates? And take one more full breath here and full breath out. As you inhale, float your left leg to the sky. Do your best to point 5 toes down to the earth. And as you exhale, draw your left knee towards your right elbow. Cross and draw the left leg under the right hand, so across the body, and then slide on down. We're going to take the back leg out of the equation, let it go limp, let it do whatever it wants. We come into drunken warrior. This is going to work into the outside of our left leg. Flex your foot as best you can, as feels good. Again, be mindful of where we feel that. This might be a great place for your pillow or your blanket as well. Just to give your chest something to rest on. So with anything, you can stay up, you can stay lifted. You can bring your forearms down to blocks or your pillow, or to feel, maybe it just feels good to you, to come all the way down to the belly. And you can work this in stages. We'll actually be here for 5 minutes. I don't tell you that to like freak you out. You're like, oh my gosh, that feels so long. But the idea is that you know you have enough time to ease into the shape. You don't have to be at the end, the quote unquote end right away. So we're going to work with our body and work with our breath. So start to breathe here. So as you're in this shape, again, notice where you're growing roots, how you're connecting to the tree and to the earth in this space. Maybe even start to think of your extended left leg as almost a branch of that. And how are you feeling supported in this moment? Let the breath just softly and gently move in and out. Maybe even start to move in and out from the heart. Feeling the breath as it comes in, fill up the belly, let the belly expand, let the ribs expand. And then as you exhale, working toward extending the exhale longer than the inhale, really allowing the belly to soften. the next exhale, just gently lift up your torso as far as you would like. And then just roll onto your back, almost opening up from the twist. Drawing your legs straight, maybe even into the chest. Taking a few rocks from side to side. You have the option to stay maybe a little bit more active movement if that's what calls to you. Or if you'd like, the other option is to come into a puddle pose, mini savasana. Either option is great. Again, options are designed to meet you where you're at. And if I call an option that you're like, doesn't work for you, then let's start to explore what might work for you in that. But here in puddle, if that's what you're taking, and even if you're taking some movement, notice how you feel. So check in with the body, check in with the mind. Notice if any of the shoulds have crept back in. And if they crept back in, say, thank you, but no. See if you can gently move it away or throw it back over your shoulder. Let's take a deep breath in and out. If you're ready, roll onto your favorite side and allow yourself to give a big hug to yourself. And from here, gently transitioning back into your downward facing dog, finding some stillness here. Again, working the toes away from the heels, away from the back of the mat. And then as you're ready, on an inhale, float the right leg to the sky. As you exhale, bring your right knee to left elbow, and then cross it on underneath the body. Left leg, let it go limp. It's not doing a thing. Flex your foot here. And remember, each side can be really different. Try and keep the hip coming out, the leg coming out directly from the hip. And then this can be a great place to use a strap, and if you do, awesome. Place around the ball of the foot, and try not to grip it so much that you're holding on to your leg. So go ahead, and as you're ready, fall into the shape. Breathing in. We have a very important watchdog at my home. She's doing a good job at protecting us all to make sure our space is safe. So allow yourself to sink back in. Find your place of steadiness. Come back into your space. Connect with your tree once again. And from here, start to lift up the chest. Allow yourself to roll onto your back, taking what movement might feel good. Sometimes pedaling the air can be really nice. Taking that movement, or if you'd like, if you feel comfortable, coming into puddle pose. If you continue to take movement, that's great. Just do so mindfully. If you're finding stillness, do that mindfully as well. Check back in. Notice how you feel. You feel a stronger sense of steadiness. Are you able to let go, even slightly, some of that which is not serving you? Some of the challenges that came with coming to practice tonight. Is there a gentler movement to the breath? Take a deep, slow breath in and out. We're going to come into our happy baby shape next. And this shape can also be done up against the wall, placing the bottom of the feet on the wall and letting the knees sort of open up. From here, just draw the knees into the chest. You can reach for the big toes using your pinky fingers. You can reach for the outsides of the feet. You can even reach for the insides of the feet. It might feel good to draw the feet together, almost in kind of like an upside down butterfly if you'd like. The physical effect is the same. The other option here too is placing your hands just gently below the knees or above on the calves. If you do place your hands directly behind the knees, let it be light as a feather because there's a lot of nerves underneath there. We just want to be very mindful of that. So letting this be a gentle hip opener, as gentle as we can make it, and breathing here. On your next exhale, draw your knees into your chest. Take movement or begin to find stillness. Wherever you're at, just checking back in. I invite you to take a full breath in and a full breath out. As you're ready, we're going to roll over onto our right side. With your right hand, just bring it nice and long. And place your head on your right bicep, tricep. You're going to take your top leg, your left leg, and extend it out long in front of you, working to bring the bottom of the foot all the way onto the ground. We're going to come into cat pulling its tail. So you have the option to stay right here. You have the option to bend your right leg, your bottom leg. This can be a great place for a strap. Let it be an extension of your arm. Place it around the foot, or you can use your hand and just gently pull the foot up toward the hip. Now you can stay with your head resting on your arm, or you can come onto your back, working for that extra twist. So again, once stretching out the outside of the leg into the hip, working on the front side of the leg with your bottom foot, your left foot. Again, feel free to grab any props you need to make your arms longer, because there's nothing that says that doing more yoga is going to make that connection any easier. It doesn't have to be. We've got things to assist us. We don't have to do it all by ourselves. Breathe here. So as you're here, find what connection you need with your space, with your tree, with the earth around you. What here in this moment, through your breath, through the air around you, through the earth, is going to feel the most comforting and supportive to you. your next exhale, gently release. This time let's roll onto our belly. Taking any movement you might need. If you find coming onto your back serves you better, that's great. But notice maybe what happens here by coming onto the belly on the front side of the body. Can this help you feel a bit more stable, sturdy? Can you send your stress, your cares, and your worries into the earth this way? And as you're ready, we're going to roll over onto our left side this time. Left side? Yeah, left side. Sometimes I don't remember my left from my right, but do the opposite if I happen to be wrong. I think I'm right here. Roll onto our left side. Let's let our head rest onto our left tricep, bicep. Take your right foot, bring it across the body, working to place the entire sole of the foot on the ground. You can stay here. You can start to draw your bottom foot, your right foot toward the hip, fully coming on to your back if you wish, or staying on your arm. Again, use your strap as an extension here, but don't pull it for dear life. Find the balance where you can have some ease in that as well. We're not forcing anything. You don't need to. What do you need from this shape? Not what the shape needs from you, but what do you need from it? What do you need from this moment, in this stillness? As you're ready, slowly begin to release. Coming onto your belly, just a brief moment, and checking back in, noticing how you feel. As you do that, you begin to move into your Savasana, final resting pose. Option to stay here, option to come completely onto your back. Maybe you come to a space where you can put your legs up the wall, if that calls to you. Whatever you need, this final rest. Truly finding stillness. Feeling a bit more connected with the earth, a bit more connected to yourself, a bit more open, a bit more space for freedom. Start to reawaken the senses. Deepen the breath. Maybe take a big inhale in and sigh it out as you like. Invite movement into the body. And as you feel ready, slowly and gently transition to a comfortable seat at the top of the mat. I invite you to pause here just for a moment. As you get ready to move on from this practice, begin to reflect on what you can bring today, from what you learned today, with you into the rest of your evening and into your week. How can you continue to support yourself? Maybe how can you use what you learned today to help support others? Closing out our practice with a breath together. Full inhale. Full exhale. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Happy Sunday. Sending lots of gratitude and love your way. I hope you have a fantastic